6th. We got 3 days of PAX Invitational to go. Little bit of reporting for you. There has been a lot of speculation as to why we haven't seen many of these matches in group play. We don't have an official stream from PAX Arena, and we haven't seen many streams from the teams and players themselves. So, according to a few sources that I've spoken to that would be in the know, the initial plan for this tournament was for each team to have at least one designated streamer. There could have been more, but at least one player was asked to stream as part of the rules of the tournament during the group stage. And one of the teams pushed back on it. I didn't get exactly which team it was, but one of the teams pushed back on this. And then the other team said, well, if they're not going to stream, we're not going to stream either. And that led to this becoming optional at the last minute for PAX Arena. So as you saw today, however, they did pivot to allow the community to stream, which is why we saw streams from Sapphire and from Simo and Esports Doug doing commentary on their streams as well. So from that point of view, we are still in early days, so I won't necessarily make this a strike against PAX Arena because they were trying something that ultimately couldn't work. And if it did work, then we wouldn't be talking about this because we would have gotten these. But let me start with this, Tyler, in terms of group stage and how you would like to see this, because maybe part of the argument is, well, PAX Arena may not want to invest in the group stage themselves because maybe the numbers won't be there to justify it. What arrangements do you think we will see that would work the best for group stage play in tournaments like this?
I think this is less on PAX and more on Riot. I think PAX, obviously, They did a great job. I actually want to give them a dub. This is a big win by them. They saw mostly by me complaining. I complained on Twitter. It was, I complained a lot. And, after a lot of complaining from players and other, casters, Simo and Philly, they did change it, and that's awesome. And today we got to see, 100 Thieves versus TSM. We would not have seen that series at all if they did not change it, and it was one of the best series we've seen so far in the tournament. So big dubs to them. I think it's more on Riot to actually build out these group stages better. I think, I know Riot is hands-off, but they're not really hands-off. These are still Riot partnership tournaments, and these organizations are giving Riot a lot of money to put on these tournaments. So I do think if a tournament is like PAX, or a tournament where there's a lot of group stage matches, and let's say PAX doesn't feel like they have the necessary tools to do a 2-day, 8-game around 20 teams playing out once kind of stream setup. I think Riot could do a great thing of having community casters, getting observers like Sapphire and other really good observers to have those streams up for community casters to stream it like we're seeing today. And it's been really fun to jump from Simo casting to these lesser known streamers that who are really into VALORANT and really want to make this their career, and it's giving them their shot to kind of have a big audience. Where we're seeing 10,000 people watching series with casters that would have never had this chance before. So I think for Riot, even if it might cost them a bit more to be like, hey, let's pay these observers to do these group stage matches, it's all about growing the game, right? VALORANT's done really well on Twitch in terms of organic growth. We're seeing streamers and tournaments do quite well in viewership. But I think just growing the game more by having these community casters and having these group stage matches streamed and not spreading the love of the game will do them better in the long run, right? Where you don't want to have people just scratching their heads of where can I watch the series? Where can I watch that series? If Riot does a better job bringing the game to the people, they will watch. If you go on YouTube and look up TSM versus T1 or other VALORANT Pro matches, they have over 100,000 views. It's 300,000 views. Some matches have over 500,000 views. And a lot of the comments are oh man, I didn't even know this tournament was going on. This match, T1 versus TSM, when was this? There's an audience for this game in an esports capacity, even when the spectator mode is still trash. Okay, not subpar. But
it's still pretty bad.
It's still pretty bad.
It's still pretty bad.
It's upgraded, though.
The X-rays are really good. The X-rays make it...
Instead of a trash can in an alley, we're up to a dumpster.
Can I give credit? Right, yes, exactly. Can I give credit, though? Some of the shots that observers are taking now are really nice shots, like the zoom outs after a game victory. Yeah, they're starting to learn within the means there.
Because we have good observers.
That's also part of it, yeah.
Because we have Sapphire. We have Sapphire and Purist, who are legends of observing from Counter-Strike. So Like, and I think like if Riot hired these people to do these community like observes and like having community like SEMO and like up and coming talent casted, that just breeds more like it spreads the game. And I do think if Riot does a better job of bringing the esports to the fans, it will grow because there's a fan base for it. Like if you look at YouTube and other social media, there's an excitement for these games and these players. They just want to know where they can find the games. And right now, it's really, really difficult. If you're a Hiko fan, it's hard to find 100 Thieves games. It's difficult to find a Wardell game, and it should not be that hard. And I think Riot could do a better job bringing the game to the people.
So
I swear, by the way.
I was going to say, with that in mind, I just want to say, with that in mind, didn't we just get a refresh in League of Legends at LoL Esports? Couldn't Valorant do the exact same thing?
Yes. And I think that they should. I think that, I said this on a previous show, that a directory of some form would make sense. Like a Valorant esports directory that integrates Twitch or Twitch, YouTube, etc., like where you can find all these things. That's one of the better things about LoL Esports. I don't know why that doesn't exist for Valorant Esports at this point, considering the way that they're going about things. Yeah, the web developers at Riot, that should be their job right now, in my opinion. But the other point I just wanted to make, like, if the reporting that you had that, Arda, that one of the teams didn't feel comfortable doing this, like, I swear if it was any of the teams that participate in League of Legends, I have some bones to pick, because I have never dealt with a subsection of owners who very much wanted to be able to stream their own academy games, as they have been in the LCS, right? That was a huge point of discussion among the owners. So if they feel uncomfortable streaming a Valorant game, I have a problem, because they're always asking for more and more content that they can sell against themselves and stuff, and if they're not putting these on their channel, I don't get it.
I think the big thing for me is that we're trying to figure out how much Riot involvement we need, right? Because one of the things that is not going to happen, because Riot isn't treating this like a top-down franchise league like Overwatch, for example, right? Is that you're not going to have a conclusive directory from the get-go. You're not going to have a series of observers that are already, set to do every game, and you're not going to have everything super organized. So I feel like on the one hand, this is kind of what was going to happen, but on the other hand, because so much time has passed from when Riot let League of Legends grow organically to now, where the expectations are different, especially around the streaming community and the way that people just view streaming in general. A big miss for this tournament for me, I understand, and I know we talked about this off camera as well, but I understand why people do not want to stream games if it's a specific strategy thing. This is a tactical shooter. You are going to have really specific setups that you're going to want to keep from other people, right? So you're not going to want to be sharing those comms. You're just not going to want people to see that. And I get it. But you should have someone, and I don't know if this is on Riot or I don't know if this is on PAX. I think PAX has actually done a pretty good job. I agree with Tyler on that. Someone should have talked to teams well in advance and be like, okay, this is going to be the expectation. And then teams come back and say, we're not going to do that. And so then they're just okay, now we're going to do streaming before this even started. Because if you think about it, the whole point of inviting a team 100 Be Lifted or whatever Ninja's team is called is that you want Ninja to bring in people. The whole point of having Mango's team, which I was watching Mango today, it was hilarious. It was a hilarious watch. It was a fun stream to watch. You want him streaming this, right? You want these people who you invited who are, no offense, not going to make it into the later stages of this tournament, because that's going to be where the actual professional teams are going to break through, right? You are going to, and that's not a slight at Team Homeless. I think those players actually deserve to be picked up, right? So you want the streamer teams to be able to stream their own streams to bring people to Valorant. That's the point of including them, right? So, that's the point of having them at this tournament. Yes. And the fact that that wasn't set up prior to PAX Arena is a huge miss for me, because part of having these events is not only to grow it competitively, but to also grow the audience itself organically. And that's where you do want to be using streamers to your advantage.
Tyler, I want to ask you a question. How many players from Team Homeless have been streaming so far?
None, because why would they? They want to get picked up. I've talked to some of the Homeless players, and I really do like them. I do think they are the best amateur team right now, just based on pure talent. Lasky has been. I've heard so many, through my talks with, teams looking at players, he has been trialed a lot. He's a player that is a big name of the Unside players. I think they've been playing together for 5 days and already looked incredible. And they took a game off TSM. They beat 100 Thieves, which have been together now for a month or so. So I really like Homeless. But I think there's another thing I kind of want to talk about. A little bit of gossip, Arda. Do you like gossip, Arda?
Let me finish. I love gossip. Let me finish my point. If I was Team Homeless and if I'm looking for a home, why wouldn't I want to showcase myself? Why?
Because results matter more. Results. You would rather.
So you're telling me that orgs are just going to look at the result and not even care about the game whatsoever.
Yep. If Homeless goes and they make the semifinals of this tournament, I will bet you that a org or two will be in their DMs.
It's also not like these players haven't been trialed before. Yeah. Like a lot of these players, like Som, Def, Lasky, Superman, like these players have been trialing for teams. We've seen them on other orgs that aren't team.
I understand your point, though. I do understand. It's like, why aren't you, if you want to get seen, why aren't you showing yourself? But I do think when it's a team that, I think if this was a team that might make it far, or maybe if they got lucky, they can make top 8. I think this is a team that believe they can go far in this tournament, and if they are prioritizing results over everything else, I don't blame them. They've gotten close to being the number 1 team in NA. They almost beat TSM, so they are definitely a wild card that I can definitely see making a run to semifinals and maybe even a finals run if everything comes together. So for them, this is a big weekend. It's a really big week for these guys because if they can make it far. I know there's a few orgs still out there. I'm not saying they're going to fully invest. They're not, pick them up immediately. But Together We Are Terrific didn't only have one suitor. They picked Complexity. Complexity was the winner of the Together We Are Terrific sweepstakes. So there are still, a few pretty, tier 1 organizations that would be looking at Homeless if they can go far this week.